A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, thank you for joining me. It's lovely to see you all. I am going to be answering some of the questions that you have been posing for our team on Ask a Homeopath. If you're not part of our Ask a Homeopath group, then please do join it on Facebook. It is where our team of homeopaths answer questions and help you learn more about homeopathy. So just to make clear that our whole ethos is not about just saying, here, take this remedy. It's about teaching you how to find the right remedy, because obviously there isn't always somebody available for you to ask. And homeopathy is not about one symptom, one remedy. It is so much more complex than that. So this is an opportunity for myself and some of my homeopaths in the team to answer questions in a little more detail, because when you're just typing in a group, you can't get a lot of information down there. So what the whole idea of this podcast is to explain why we ask the questions that we do and what more information you will be needing to find the right remedy. So I'm going to go through a few of the questions and I'm going to explain what I'm thinking when I read them and then how I'd want to answer them. So let's start with this one. It says, a general question. I have read that homeopathy can cure autism. Is that true? If so, I want to suggest it to someone I know whose child is autistic. There are too many people who don't know the wonders of homeopathy, but I want to understand if it really can help. So let's first address the word there that we cannot address, and that is cure. Nobody can say that any medicine can cure any symptom. The thing about homeopathy, it doesn't fit into normal schedules and reportings of other medicine. We do not have one medicine for one diagnosis. Autism is a diagnosis, but it has hundreds of different facets, and everybody with a diagnosis of autism will be affected in a different way, because there are so many factors that affect how you experience autism. So the one thing that we're going to say is no, homeopathy does not cure anything. What homeopathy does is it rebalances your body and effectively resets your own self-healing mechanism. Sometimes our own self-healing mechanism gets stuck. Homeopathy is really good for clearing that stuckness. What causes autism? There are many, many, many different things that could possibly have caused an autistic diagnosis. But you know that homeopathy doesn't need a diagnosis in order to help rebalance and readjust things so that you are more healthy or so that you are more comfortable in this world. Now, quite often, I would say that it is our job to help you be more comfortable in the world. We know that a diagnosis of autism can mean very, very severe symptoms. And we have seen some amazing results using homeopathy. Homeopathy is not curing the autism, it is rebalancing the health system. Does that make sense? So we often see when working with a homeopath, and I'll explain a little bit about why I'm saying that is going to be necessary if you have got autism in the family. It is our job to help the person be less anxious, because if they're less anxious, they're more able to rebalance. It is our job when we are promoting homeopathy, when we are teaching you how to use homeopathy, when we are walking alongside your health journey, to find remedies that are going to reset a lot of those difficult symptoms. But your child will probably always be autistic. It's just that they will be able to verbalize their emotions. They will be able to fit into society. They will be able to answer questions. They will be able to look people in the eye. They will be able to go out into a social setting without getting really emotionally upset. So, depending on where the starting point will obviously indicate how long this journey, this process is going to be taking. How long do you actually want to go along the health journey, and what do you actually consider is the end point? What is true and absolute health? Because there are quite a lot of aspects with autism that affects emotional symptoms as well as some physical symptoms and growth and functional physical activity. So homeopathy works very well with all of this. Homeopathy sees great results in helping the person along that health journey. So no, not cure. Yes, will certainly help. Let me get to the bit where I said you're probably going to need to work with a homeopath for this. We don't like saying this because to me, homeopathy is all about you taking back responsibility for your own health, which means you learning about the symptoms that you're experiencing. It means that you're learning how to interpret those symptoms and give your body what it really needs. You're learning how to change your mindset. You're learning how to navigate life and maintain better health. However, with complex chronic diagnosis, with complex chronic health, there are many, many different ways that we can use homeopathy, and it is a journey. Homeopaths undergo a minimum of 4 years training. But then every client they've ever experienced, they'll be picking up lots more information that you won't have knowledge to if you're a home user, if you're a home prescriber. Even if you were to work with a homeopath for a number of months or perhaps a year, you would find out a whole series of remedies that works really well for you or your family. And that will help you enormously on your health journey. But when it comes to something complex like autism, we have to be using homeopathy in a number of different ways. There might be toxins in the body that need to be detoxed, and with any detoxification using homeopathy, we will be using an organ support remedy. People have to be in a good state of health, and their adrenal glands have to be working properly in order to undergo any detoxification. So make sure that you are doing this under supervision from somebody who is experienced with it. We might also need to be addressing a miasm, that is, an inherited susceptibility. Perhaps there is autism in the family. Perhaps there are people in the spectrum who are in your near family as well. And this means we need to strengthen that inherited susceptibility alongside any detoxification or other methods of prescribing. We will also be addressing the symptom which has got the most energy right now, and that will change as you go on through the health process, through the working with homeopathy, and as things change, the symptom changes, the energy of particular symptoms change, and therefore the remedy changes. So what we do is we take a synopsis of what is happening now. Where is the energy now? We take into account that inherited susceptibility. We take into account the toxins that might be held in the body from previous traumas or activities. We might take into account constitutional prescribing and personality. We take into account anxiety and stress and where that high energy is. What is the most disturbing thing for the patient right now? We put all of this into the melting pot, and then we choose the remedy to start. Then we come back and we assess all of the changes that might have taken place and where is the energy right now? What is most distressing for the patient, because it is that needs to be treated after a little while. So each time we meet, we move on down the line of health effectively, so that we can continue to improve health as we go. So this is a long way round to answer a really good question. Thank you very much for answering it. And I hope that this explanation will help a lot of people understand where homeopathy fits in with other medications, because it's not an alternative medication. It's a complementary. It can work with whatever else you're doing. And that's really, really useful for you to know. Okay, let's go on to another question now. Now, my little ones are 2 and 7, and it seems that no matter how hard I try to maintain health, they're always coughing and have congestion. And my 2-year-old was diagnosed with asthma, and that she gets so sick that it scares me. What can I do long term to keep my children healthy? Now, this is a brilliant question, because we're at that time of year where we're all struggling, and you can probably hear that I've got a little bit of retained mucus that refuses to shift at the moment. So maintaining health is a brilliant way for you to be using homeopathy. But first of all, I think it's important to understand why children are always getting coughs and colds and how that actually improves their immunity. So if we remove ourselves from society, then we do not come into contact with all of the germs that are going around, and it means that we would get much more poorly if we were then to be thrown into society. So the fact that children are continually getting coughs and colds is a good sign, and it shows that they are building immunity. They are becoming stronger. And this is why after, childhood, we get less as grown-ups, except if you're like me and live on an island and then suddenly go and immerse yourself in society and come back with everybody else's germs. However, that said, I can help myself build immunity using homeopathy and make sure that I am as healthy as I can be. And there are a number of different protocols that go round. There are also a number of different companies that produce mixtures that help immunity. The most important thing is that you look at how your family experiences the symptoms and you find the most relevant remedies that help you and your family. So your family might use a different protocol than next door, basically, in order to help with your immunity. There are remedies such as ferrum phos, which are really useful at giving your body a boost. It's giving your red blood cells a boost in activity. And just something simple like that might be a remedy to consider taking before they go back to school in the autumn, before going to an activity where you know that a lot of people are going to be ill. Now, I know that a lot of people might have a remedy like influenza, something like that, and it's not something that we use an awful lot of in the UK. It's used much more in the US, and it's made from effectively last year's flu or colds. And so it's helping build a barrier in the way that a vaccine might help you build those antibodies against it. But of course, remember that homeopathy is about like treats like. So if we have a remedy that gives the symptoms the very like as you are experiencing, then effectively that is going to do the job rather than actually taking the nosode and creating that into a remedy. So let's go through a few of the remedies that might be really useful. Allium cepa is a remedy for sneezing and itchy nose and eyes. And so if you suffer, first of all, by getting lots and lots of sneezes, if you wake up every morning sneezing a lot, then that might be a really useful remedy, as might Sabadilla. And of course, euphrasia, which is runny and itchy eyes. So depending on how you are going to be experiencing your symptoms will depend on the remedies that you can take before you think that you might be exposed to the germs. It might be that you take an aconite before you go out. Because aconite is often indicated where symptoms come on really quickly. If you know that you are always affected in the chest, you might well be taking your normal remedy that you take if you have asthma or a weakness in the chest. So if you're already taking a phosphorus or a antart remedy, then that will already be protecting you. So when people ask me, okay, we're already taking a remedy, but we're going to go here, we're going to do this, I want them to have a remedy to help protect them. Now, I often say that they are already having the remedy that their body most needs for rebalancing right now. So for the rest of the family that aren't having remedies, that aren't having a remedy on a regular basis just now, then give them something. But the person that is already having a remedy, has been prescribed a remedy, perhaps by a homeopath, they don't need an additional immunity boosting remedy because the remedy that they have been given is the remedy that really suits them right now and is boosting their health right now. Remember that homeopathy is about boosting health. It's not about curing anything. It's about making you as fit and healthy as you possibly can be so that you better fit in to this world and society today. So if we go back to this question that this lady asked, how can she help when both her children are coughing? She's got one who's been diagnosed with asthma. What can she be doing about it? What I would suggest is that you treat the symptoms right now that are happening and you understand which remedy really helps. And then you have that on a monthly basis, perhaps through winter, just to maintain health. And you know when symptoms start to start using the remedies in a particular order. So if you're already having asthma, what we want really to do with this is it's a chronic health issue. So we really need to get to grips with how she's suffering and the inherited susceptibilities and how anxious she is. How is her personality? How does she think and feel when this happens to her? What is her general demeanour? Because if we can treat this constitutionally and with a miasmatic remedy to just help boost that inherited susceptibility, then we will have the remedy that's really going to help her maintain health through every winter. So with the other children who are coughing and congestion, we're going to find a remedy that is really good for them. And then we know that we can use that in advance next time. Does that make sense? Okay, let's just do one more question. Toddler wakes every hour, it seems. Any suggestions? He just turned 2. There's been lots of change going on because of the hurricane. He sleeps for a few hours at night, but tosses and turns and generally doesn't really sleep well. On the whole, he's a very happy guy. Okay. When I read this, the first thing I think is, my goodness, he's been through quite a traumatic, time where they've had to leave home, they've had to rush. He would have picked up all of your stress, going through a hurricane, knowing what's coming, knowing that you're having to leave and you don't know what you're going back to. So first of all, we need to treat that trauma. So I would suggest something like aconite in quite a high potency, or over a couple of days. It's not surprising that he has been traumatized by this activity and that during the night he is needing a little bit more attention. So you're saying that he's tossing and turning. What the other things that we would need to know in order to find a good remedy would be, is he crying? Is he dreaming? Is he waking up screaming? Is he in any pain? Is he hungry? What's he like when he wakes in the morning? I can see that you're perhaps affected by having to wake up every hour, but how is he affected the next day? We would want all of that information to find the best remedy to help him now. But I would start with giving him an aconite 200, perhaps once or twice, just to help him get over that shock and that moving. Now, there are lots of remedies that we would put into a repertory. A repertory is a book, effectively, of everything that everybody's ever said that relates then to the remedies that have worked for anybody who's ever said the same sort of thing. There are remedies for tossing and turning during the night. There are remedies for waking every hour. There are remedies for being anxious during the night. There are remedies for dreaming and waking screaming. But the energy is what happened just before it started. Okay, we need to address that. We need to take him out of that shock mode. And that's why we would start with a remedy like aconite to help take away that initial shock that caused the upset in the body. I hope that makes sense. The remedy, it would then follow to, after the aconite, to give a remedy that helps make him more comfortable in the situation he is in. And that would be much more of a constitutional remedy. So we would be looking at the other aspects of his personality to find that remedy that suits. I hope this has been useful. It's lovely talking to you, and I look forward to answering some more questions with you next week. Take care. I hope you found these questions useful this week. It's been lovely just to go through some of those thoughts and feelings that we have when we read your questions. And thank you so much for continuing to ask us the questions, letting us know what help you need right now. And whether that's by emailing us, whether that's by contacting us on our website, whether that's by interacting in the Facebook groups, thank you. It's very grateful for using our team and helping them help you learn more about homeopathy. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking to Elisa Julfane. It's great to have another one of our team members, Homeopathy 24/7 team member, to help discuss some of these questions that you have been asking. We're going to be covering questions about mold, about maintaining causes. We're going to be covering questions about UTIs and how those symptom differs, about whether we need the diagnosis or not. And we're going to be looking at some remedy differentials. So I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye. I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.